She entered the building quietly, holding a notebook too worn to match the glass and steel perfection around her. Her coat was thin. Her afro was slightly unkempt. Her shoes looked like they carried stories of long walks and harder days. She stepped past the automatic doors and paused, glancing around the lobby that smelled like leather chairs and fresh espresso. No one smiled. No one offered help. In fact, they barely even noticed her, except for the receptionist who narrowed her eyes just slightly. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. Excuse me, the receptionist finally said, her tone clipped but polite enough to avoid trouble. Deliveries go through the back entrance. I'm not here for delivery, the woman said, voice calm and low. Well then, who are you here to see? The receptionist asked, still eyeing her coat like it offended the building. Just here for the meeting on the 27th floor, she replied, not offering further explanation. The receptionist hesitated, clearly debating whether to push back. But before she could, the elevator dinged and the woman stepped in. No one stopped her. Not yet. Upstairs, the energy was different. Crisp suits, white teeth, high heels clicking fast across marble floors. The employees of this corporate powerhouse were preparing for the investor visit they'd all been warned about. Some said the firm was being scouted for a major acquisition. Others believed it was just another annual review. What no one knew was that the woman in the elevator, the one they all thought was lost or looking for a job, wasn't just part of the meeting. She was the meeting. As she stepped off on the 27th floor, a young white intern nearly bumped into her. "Oh, sorry," he mumbled, barely glancing. Then under his breath, to a colleague, "I thought security had better screening these days." She heard it, didn't respond. Down the hallway, the senior partners were gathered, discussing projections and market trends. One of them, tall, confident, with hair too perfect to be real, glanced at the clock. "Where's the investor?" he asked impatiently. "They were supposed to be here 15 minutes ago." "They'll be here," another said, sipping his coffee. "Probably stuck in traffic. Rich people time." Just then, the woman stepped into the room. Nobody stood. Nobody acknowledged her presence. One of them motioned toward the corner. "The assistant station is over there," he said, not even looking up from his laptop. "I'm not here to assist," she said, standing firm. He looked up now, eyebrows raised. Before he could respond, the glass doors opened again, and a young white man in a tailored gray suit walked in behind her. "Ah, finally," the lead partner said, hurrying forward to shake his hand. "You must be Mr. Carson from Eastern Capital." The young man smiled awkwardly. "Oh, no, I'm just her assistant. Ms. Monroe is the principal investor." The room froze. Ms. Monroe, the woman in the coat, the one they thought was a help. She stepped forward and calmly removed her scarf. "Now that I have everyone's attention," she said, "shall we begin?" You could feel the silence choke the air. Some shuffled. Others stared. One man, red in the face, mumbled, "Well, this is unexpected." But she wasn't interested in their discomfort. She opened her notebook and began reviewing the financials, pointing out flaws in their projections, weaknesses in their management, blind spots in their diversity policies. She was sharp, direct, brilliant. They tried to keep up. They couldn't. Midway through the meeting, one of the senior executives, an older white man who'd been silent until then, interrupted. "With all due respect, Ms. Monroe, may I ask how someone like you ended up in this position?" There it was, not even veiled. The room went still. She looked at him calmly and replied, "You mean how a black woman in second-hand shoes ended up evaluating your $200 million company?" He didn't answer. No one did. She continued, simple. "While you were building glass walls to keep people like me out, I was building wealth. Quietly, patiently. I own controlling shares in 4 companies, one of which supplies your software licenses. I've been profiting off your success for years, silently." A pause. Then she added, "And while you were judging my coat, I was deciding whether or not your names would stay on the board." The tension broke like glass. No one could speak. Her assistant passed around copies of contract. "I'm prepared to fund the expansion," she said, "but only if the leadership changes. I need people who don't assume brilliance was a tailored suit." By the end of the day, 2 executives had stepped down. A week later, the company's LinkedIn profile featured a glowing press release welcoming our new investing partner, Ms. Monroe, a visionary leader reshaping modern business. But behind the scenes, they all remember the lesson that came with worn sneakers, a quiet voice, and eyes that miss nothing.